we as Black women were categorically denied in the state of Delaware on this ballot. And I don't know about you guys, but I've spent a lot of time and effort and energy, as much as many of you have, trying to craft a different lay of the landscape here in Delaware politically. And it doesn't matter if we are Republican or Democrat or independent, we share a common conservative value in this room. And if you are Black or brown in the state of Delaware, you recognize real quick that our issues are a lot different and they're not being addressed. So my good sister, Alicia Clark, is my warrior sister in the trenches for all things social justice reform. And she will illuminate at any given point in time what we have going on here in the disparities in our communities if you are Black or brown. And it's not that these things are not being identified, because God knows we've spent how many millions of dollars in studies. But the fact of the matter is that nothing is being done about it. And the reason it's not being addressed is because we are not holding our elected officials accountable. If you've listened to me over the years, you've known that I was a lifelong Democrat before I shifted to Republican. And I talk a lot about why I shifted. And it was simply because someone charged me and challenged me on why I was affiliated the way that I was, and gave me a political typology quiz. And it was on paper. And my dear brother came back and says, "Congratulations, you're Republican." I laughed. And I said, "Well, you won't mind if I fact check that now, will you?" So technology being what it is, we can go online now and we can put in typology, political typology quizzes, and it'll point you to a whole arsenal. Well, I took quite a few of them, and all of them had me being a right-leaning centrist. And I find that Delaware is not peculiar in the fact that we as a group of people in a state are just right or just left of center. I don't find that we have too many people that are on the extreme one way or the other. And so because we can find some shared consensus around some issues, like our tax dollars not being spent wisely. This young lady was our treasurer for a while, and she could tell you our tax dollars are not being spent wisely. I mean, we have all kinds of things that are going on that we can find some shared frustrations as people who live in this state. So suffice it to say, after this last election cycle, I said, you know what? Something's got to change. And so once upon a time, I remembered the Frederick Douglass Foundation being in existence here in the state of Delaware. And I said, well, you know what? They had the Douglass Leadership Institute that would come out and educate people on voting and being strategic with your ballot and how to really look at politics through a different lens. And I said, well, let me reach out to them and see, what's going on. So about maybe 3 months ago, I did that. And to my surprise, the Frederick Douglass Foundation is now a policy house. And the Frederick Douglass Freedom Alliance is now the boots on the ground organization who will come inside of our state and will help with that lift. And all we have to do is organize. Not a small task, right? Wrong. Suffice it to say, for the last 2 months, I spent a lot of time in a very extensive vetting process. And when I tell you that I've given birth to children easier, and most of you know I have 10, and I had a 10-pounder, I've given birth to children easier than that process. And they said, you know what? Delaware is a place that we would like to have a chapter. And they found it. I'm humbled that they found me worthy to be the person who will be leading that effort here in the state of Delaware. Thank you. So I have a few people in this room already here that have agreed to serve on my board. If you're one of those people, could you raise your hand? Thank you. 4 out of the 5 are here. Brandon Bryce is on his way. We have a group of people who are committed to this cause. And it doesn't take much for us to organize in such a way that we can make a tangible difference. Now, on your tables, there's a QR code. Everybody's got their smartphone, I'm sure. I need you to scan that. That will take you to the Frederick Douglass Freedom Alliance website. You won't see us on there yet, we're new. And so our state will be listed on that site forthcoming, but there is a section down at the bottom that says membership. And for each one of you that are able and willing, I would like for you to become members of the organization. Not because it's me asking you, but because you see value and what that website tells you is possible in the state of Delaware. So I want you to do your homework. I want you to look around and see what the offerings are of the organization. And if you are able and willing, I would like for you to become members. This evening, we are joined by none other than Lord Jamar, all the way from New York. And if you look at the trend across the nation, you're seeing artists like Lord Jamar who are putting a little political skin in the game. They're using their platforms to say, hey, something just isn't right in our universe. And we're going to use what we have in terms of our time, our treasure, talent, and invest into shining a light. And so he's got a wonderful, and I'm going to go over here and grab it. He has the God Pod podcast on YouTube, God Pod with Lord Jamar. So you can go and check out some of the wonderful works that he's done. He has a long list of accreditations in the film industry, people that he's produced, things that he has done with, I don't know if you guys are as old as I am. I'm 55, but I remember, back in the day when he was, humming a few bars.
Still got bars.
So we are very excited to have him all the way from New York to join us. If you guys would give him a warm round of applause and a hearty Delaware welcome. I'm going to ask him to join me here, and we're going to get started with our Q&A so that you guys will have some time, hopefully at the end, to be able to have a few questions of your own. So I'm going to slide over here so you can have the hot seat. And so I'm going to give the mic to you so you can fill in the gaps in your introduction and what you would like this audience to know about you.
Well, good evening. Peace to everyone in attendance. Thank you for having me. Danielle, thank you for bringing me down. My name is Lord Jamar from a group called Brand Nubian. We are a conscious rap group that came up in the early 90s, and some people call us hip-hop legends.
I'm one of them.
So, that being said, my music has always been something that's tried to help and uplift the Black community and just try to give you something that you can use in your everyday life. I never really thought of myself particularly as political, even though I guess a lot of our themes could be considered political, but as far as like American politics, Democrat, Republican and all that type of stuff, I didn't feel that I was participating in that really. And I didn't necessarily know that I was a conservative either, until certain things started coming up. I started speaking on certain issues that I'm seeing, especially in this last election cycle. And yeah, people's like, you're a conservative. Like you're conservative. And I'm
Surprise.
like, okay, yeah, I am. Like, I'm a conservationist. I like to conserve things how I feel they should be. So, yeah, with all this left progressive nonsense that they're trying to shove down our throats, and I think that was one of the main reasons why the Democratic Party lost this cycle. We can get into that later, but yeah, that just definitely let me know where I stand, and I'm proud to be a black conservative with conservative values.
Thank you so much for giving those comments. And so we'll get right into it. In your opinion, who was the better president and why? Biden, Obama, or Trump?
Well, I think Sleepy Joe can just get off the list immediately. I don't even think we have to consider him. So yeah, I'd have to go between Obama and Trump. Now, let me just say, I hadn't voted until Obama. The first time around, I got pulled in with the emotionalism of having a black president, you know, who was inspiring me with hope and it was gonna be change and all of this type of stuff. And yes, I bought into it. And that's when I registered myself as an independent to be able to vote in the presidential election. But Obama didn't necessarily provide any tangibles for foundational black Americans here in this country. He seemed to cater to other groups, you know, especially, you know, these alphabet groups, these people that I see as, you know, have a mental illness, let's keep it real. And yeah, I'm not gonna play along with those games. So I really wasn't feeling his presidency. Trump, on the other hand, you know, economy was good. You know, we had significant growth before the pandemic. Nobody could have, you know, predicted the pandemic, but as of October 4th on 2019, unemployment rate was at a 50-year low under President Trump. And I'll also say, he's not done. You see what I'm saying? He has his other 4. So Obama had 8, right? And he only had half of his. So we can't fully judge Trump's presidency till he gets his other 4 off. But I still would go with Trump.
Thank you. So that being said, we saw that the numbers indicated that there was a 24% black male vote that factored into the 2024 election. So what do you think that Trump's legacy will mean for African Americans just based off of what we've seen in this past election cycle?
I think his legacy for us is that this was the turning point when we just didn't go along with whatever they wanted us to do. The mainstream media wasn't able to just tell us whatever we wanted to hear, and they weren't able to placate us, and Meg the Stallion and all these other people weren't able to twerk their way into our hearts. So yeah, it showed that, listen, we're gonna think for ourselves now. We're gonna start doing things that are in our best interest as foundational black Americans, as opposed to, you know, just doing things because that's what you think we're supposed to do. We're actually thinking for ourselves now. And I think this marks the turning point of yeah, of a certain shift in the consciousness, and not being worried about affiliations and, oh, you know, because I had family members that were, whoa, like I told you. I have a whole bunch of women in my family that are AKA. She's AKA Mrs. Harris, you know, or should I say Mrs. Emhoff, because that's her real married name. She used Harris to try to blacken herself up, but that's a whole other story. So yeah, this was almost blasphemy that I was speaking against her, and yes, I voted for Trump.
Thank you. You made a statement at one point that they cannot reproduce, so they must recruit. What did you mean by this statement?
That was a statement for the insane people who believe a man could be a woman or a woman can be a man. First of all, I would just like to take you guys back to before 1973. Homosexuality and all of that transgenderism, that was considered a mental illness on the DSM. Meaning inside of the book that talks about mental illness with practitioners, that was in there. After 1973, it was taken out. Do you know why? Not because any findings came about. What happened was homosexuals started to come up with this plan that we're going to go to these conventions that these psychologists and all this have, and we're just going to harass these people. They harassed these people so much at their conventions, at their offices and all of that, that through pressure, it was taken out of the DSM, not from any medical findings, just pressure. So I say that to say, it's a definite agenda. Since they cannot reproduce. See, it's fine. You can be what you want to be. If a man wants to be with a man, hey, you do that. A woman want to be with a woman, cool. But nature has said it stops there. Y'all can't reproduce. You can't continue this madness into a next generation biologically. See, that's God saying, okay, any abnormalities, we're going to stop that right there. But, so now in order to bring more of them, since they can't reproduce themselves, they have to recruit, they have to attack the minds, especially of the youth. That's why they have transgenders going into kindergarten and reading to the children and trying to make them, amenable to the babies. You know, they already stole the rainbow from the children because y'all remember we used to sing the rainbow: violet, indigo, blue, and green, yellow, orange, and red. They done stole the rainbow from the kids, and it's a shame. So again, you can do what you want to do with your life and all of that. If you want to act like you're a cat, fine. But don't ask me to play along. Don't ask me to give you tender vittles and pet you and all. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. So I'm not, if you say you're a man and you're really a woman, I'm not calling you a man. I'm not calling you by your pronouns or none of that. And that's just what it is.
Yes, please clap. If you've had a chance to kind of peruse through the Frederick Douglass Freedom Alliance website, you know that this is a biblical worldview organization. And this man is speaking truth. God is not going to be mocked in this season, and he is separating what is fact, what is fiction, and what is truth, and what is falsehood. And I adamantly believe that indoctrinating our vulnerable children is a sin against humanity. So thank you for your stance on that. And on another recent platform, you said, Democrats treat us like cheap whores at 3 a.m. What did you mean by this?
Well, you know, some of us men in the room, you know, way back a long time ago before
Before we
had our
were
wives
saved.
and stuff like that, you know, we might have, we might have made those phone calls late at night, 3 a.m., you know, to the girl that we knew was always gonna be there. That one that was always ready, no matter what. I had a bad night at the club, and I came home by myself. Let me call this one to come on over, because she's always ready. But this time, you call her, and she's like, you know what? I have respect for myself. I am not getting out of my bed at 3 a.m. in the morning to come and do whatever you want me to do. No, sir. I'm staying home. That's the look the Democratic Party had. Like, what? Yes, I'm not coming over. And that's what we said, especially a lot of us black men, because, okay, it's like, we're still in this analogy of the 3 a.m. call. So now she's asking him questions, right? Why you want me to come over? Do you love me? He's not answering the questions. Just like this woman wasn't answering questions. Well, do I love you? See, I grew up in a middle class home. And, you know, we had people that created businesses. So, you know, love is a thing. And when you love, you feel it. Word salad. So when the word salad doesn't, you know, when all of that doesn't work, and then she just puts her foot down and is like, I'm not coming, and just leaves you upset, well, you see what happens. Then you get mad, and you calling her all kind of B words, and you don't want to come out and give a speech when you're supposed to, and all of this type of stuff to thank her for all the time she's been there. Now it's just forget about her. So yeah, that's the analogy that I saw. I think the Democratic Party expected us to come out at 3 a.m. no matter what, put our lipstick on or whatever we do and come perform any tricks that we want. And we said, no, this time we're not doing it. This is not in my best interest, I'm not doing it. And now they see, and now they gotta deal with it.
Thank you. Kind of jumped right on into my next question about your views on Kamala Harris, and in your opinion, did she represent the African American community and their vote? So I think that you kind of nailed that one. What do you think is the biggest opportunity for Republicans to recruit more people of color? And what do you think is the Democratic Party's biggest challenge now, post-Trump?
I think for the Republicans, they have an opportunity to show that they're not the party of racism, that they can be the party of respect. They're not the party of oppression, they could be the party of opportunity. Yeah, I think they're in a beautiful place right now. If they come and truly address certain things, they're gonna have to sit down with people like you and I and really dialogue and really give us tangibles Because if we don't get these tangibles, we're not messing with you either.
That's right.
We're not messing with you either. It's not about trying to jump ship from party to party. It's about doing what's best for us as foundational Black Americans. On the Democratic side, they're gonna have to pull away from all this left, progressive, trying to jam all that nonsense down your throat. They're gonna have to come back towards center and get away from all of that insanity. You know, one of my sayings is, let's make common sense common again. Because plenty of things are going on in this world that just are insane. And we're not gonna allow insanity to become a norm. You see, if you have to normalize something, that means it's not normal. It's not normal if it needs to be normalized. So please, yes, Democrats, that's your only hope, is to get away from all of that type of madness.
Thank you. And so kind of just piggyback off of that a little bit, we have in our culture a word called woke. So I would like for you to define that first, and then I would like you to go one step further and tell me if you think that wokeness is dead.
Well, first of all, the word woke got stolen from the Black community, okay? We started the word woke, and it meant a totally different thing than what it means now. It represented consciousness, it represented true awakening to things around you, to the lies that have been thrust upon you, since birth. It was a form of knowledge of self, okay? I don't know when the white people got a hold of the word, but that's when it took a turn. They tried to co-opt the word and use it as a form for leftist ideas and, basically to push insanity. To say that it's to be woke, to embrace these concepts that we as conservatives do not embrace in the least. And they used it as a way to try to virtue signal and act as if you're not woke, something's wrong with you. So is wokeism dead? Hopefully that kind of wokeism is, but us being here in this room is the real woke. You understand? We're the real woke. We're the ones who are not just going along with what everybody else is saying, and they're, proud to be liberal because they feel like, again, it's some sort of virtuous thing to be, as if, it's an evolutionary step up, accepting these people as part of evolution or something they're saying. And evolution is nonsense, people. Please don't believe in that. But anyway, so yeah, I hope that wokeism is dead, but this type of woke needs to stay alive.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. So in your humble opinion, which party represents the elites and why?
In my humble opinion, they both represent the elites. Let's keep it real. They're everybody in the Democratic Party and the Republicans, like once you get to a certain point, they're millionaires. All of them. And Kamala, whatever her name is, millionaire. Biden, millionaire. Trump, millionaire. Like Elon Musk, millionaire. Like the Kennedy dude, millionaire. Okay? So they all represent the elites in some kind of way. It's which elites do you represent? See, now there's you have certain ones that represent the elites that want to, like, you know, push the vaccines and push these insane agendas on the people. And then you got other elites that just want to make money and, you know what I mean? And keep their power as far as that's concerned. So again, when you're saying that, it's almost like now you're dealing with who is the less of two evils, basically, is what you're asking. And again, I think we've come to that conclusion already. You know, for me, it's gonna be the Republican Party. As far as, you know, what Donald Trump came with and you know, his whole stance on a lot of things is in line with what I'm in line with. But again, he's an elitist too, so.
Thank you for your honesty. He keeps it real. So as a rap artist, what does censorship mean to you?
Censorship means, it means handcuffs. It means I'm not able to create my art in a true and honest way. You know, it constrains me to have to worry about you know, everybody's feelings for every little thing you say, or to not be able to give a true critique on something. Yeah, it just ruins the art, and just before art, it's just un-American. Like I grew up as a child believing that one of the great things about America is that you could say whatever you want to say, whether it is agreed upon speech or not agreed upon speech. See, and y'all gotta stop like, oh, they said this and that, you know, listen. Once you try to stop somebody else's speech, they're gonna be able to stop your speech at another time. So let them say what they need to say, and you know what I mean? Let them say what they need to say, because we can't have them trying to stop your speech when it's time. If they're lying, that'll come to, you know, yeah, that'll come out in the wash. It's okay if they're telling lies. Oh, but we need fact checkers, you know. We know the vibration of a lie a lot of times when we hear one. So that's the fact checker. Use your internal fact checker. I don't need these people on Facebook and IG to fact check for me. Yeah. What was the question?
You answered it.
Okay.
What censorship meant to you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
there you go.
Thank you. I think that just to kind of piggyback off of what you said, as a mom, I know that some parents feel that some things are so far out there, and it's really funny that, you know, we talk about the wokeness and we talk about, you know, all of the elements that go into what is actually hitting the eardrums of our children. But I think as parents, we have to own a piece of that that says that we have to have some dialoguing with our own children around some of these things.
Well, see, a lot of our children are being brought up with the TV and the iPads and the phones. Like, you'll see kids that super young that know how to swipe, you know, at a lightning speed, and they're just, You know, and they're doing all this, they're being brought up through these things. You're not sitting over their shoulder the whole time. You're thinking, oh, you know, he's just playing Teddy Ruxpin or whatever the case may be. And then Teddy Ruxpin is saying, now you know a boy can be a girl and a girl can be a boy, right? And see, this is why you have to really dialogue young, and you can't wait because they're getting at them super young. So you got to say, I don't care what your iPad tells you, this is what it is.
Thank you. He rolled right on into my next question, y'all. Should America only represent two genders?
The fact that that has to even be a question,
Yes.
is crazy. It's diabolical. Okay, right? If you're a man, right, and you say you're transgender, and you want to get sexual reassignment surgery, what are your choices? If I was a man, right, and I walked into the doctor and I said, I want sexual reassignment surgery to be a man, what do you think they'd say to me? Stop wasting my time, sir. You're already a man. So how come there's only two choices that they have? They say there's myriad different kinds. I don't even know how they, you know. But when it's time for them to be something else, there's only two choices, man or woman. And I'm sorry, when everybody passes away and 1,000 years from now, somebody goes and checks your DNA, they're not gonna know what you thought you were. They're gonna say, this was a man, this was a woman. Based on your DNA, or maybe just based on your skull or your hips and all of that type of stuff. Like, there's plenty of indicators of man and woman in the real sane world.
Thank you. So why don't you really tell us how you feel? What are your views on COVID and vaccines?
Didn't take it. Seemed like a plandemic to me. Seemed like a test to try to see if people would be compliant and, give away their freedoms. The Hegelian dialectic. I don't know if you know what that is, but that's when somebody creates a problem and they come with a solution at the same time in order to synthesize taking away some sort of freedom from you. And even if it's a little bit, they just keep doing that and keep doing that. We did it with 9/11. Problem, solution, Patriot Act. That helped take away your freedoms. Problem, COVID. Solution, vaccine, take away your freedom. You had to do it, or else you can't work, or you can't go to school, or you can't do this, you can't do that. We couldn't even go to church. But we could go to McDonald's, that was okay. Couldn't go to the gym. It's supposed to be about our health, but we could go to McDonald's. Yeah. That seemed like some sort of nefarious machination of these evildoers. And I was totally not with it. I was outside, not wearing masks, being as defiant as possible. When they tried to force me to wear a mask, well, then I'd only wear it up to here. I was one of those guys. I was outside just breathing up the air. Early in the pandemic, too. Everybody was scared. And guess what? We all still here. And, surprise! The people that got the jab, a lot of them somehow have arrhythmias and are dying of heart. And I'm sorry for them because, I got people in my family that take it. And I hope and pray that they are okay.
Thank you. I appreciate and applaud you for your boldness to come out and speak on these topics. I know that in the industry, and you and I talked about this a little bit earlier, I'd like to have more people who are willing to come out and have these candid conversations around the issues. And I find that you are a rarity. And I'm just wondering if you could share with us today about behind closed doors, what are your fellow artists saying about these same topics?
Well, I know behind closed doors, especially, this last election cycle, a lot of men, period, not just in the industry, but a lot of men in the industry were not rocking with Kamala. But I think a lot of them were scared to say that they was gonna rock with Trump. See, that was the leap right there. It was one thing to say I don't like her, but it was a whole other thing to say, nah, I'm going with Trump. Because that took a certain, a certain type of fortitude that a lot of people didn't have, still have. People may have secretly voted for him, But so I think there's a lot of people that, they're just worried about what people will think of them, or that they might miss out on a favor and stuff like that, because, hey, Democratic Party was giving out some money, y'all. Like, what? She had $1 billion a budget, 10 million to Beyonce, this, Cardi B gets $1 million, you get $1 million, you get $1 million, and now she's 20 million in debt, but that's a whole other thing. But this is the woman you wanted to run the country and, your economy and all that. But anyway, so people feel like they might miss out on a bag, they might, they might upset someone in their family, Hey, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, man. So I can't speak for them. I can only speak for myself, and I'm bold on a lot of issues, not just this one. So this is just part of my personality.
And we thank you for it. So we touched on this at the very beginning of our conversation, that we had black male voters vote at a rate of 27% for Donald Trump. And we talked a little bit about why you thought that was. I think at the core of some of the media slant and bias is that the representation of Donald Trump is that he is a racist. Can you speak on that for us, please?
Well, first of all, I don't know if he's a racist because I don't know him personally, right? But what I can say is nobody was really calling him a racist until he started running for president the first time. I kind of remember Trump as being that white dude that black people kind of had an affinity for, His name was in multiple rap songs. Guess who's the black Trump? From what I understand, he helped give money to Jesse Jackson on his first political campaign to run for president. He's done things for certain black celebrities, like when the sister, what's her name, Jennifer Hudson, something happened with her family. I think he helped put her up or something like that. Now, the thing that people throw out there a lot about Trump is this thing about the Central Park Five. I think he kind of handled that wrong, as far as he should just say, listen, everybody thought they were guilty at that time, and I thought they were guilty too. I made my little ad or whatever, and hindsight is 2020, and let's just move forward. I was wrong. But Trump does have an ego, so he's not a perfect man, and I admit that. So he's handling that wrong, and that right there is something that a lot of people use to try to call him a racist. I will say he was a Democrat at the time that he did it. He was not a Republican at that time, and the prosecutor and all of that, and the DA were Democrats. So I'm just saying. So is he a racist? I mean, if we keep it real, isn't every white person having a little bit of racism in America? And come on. Whether they consciously or subconsciously know it or act on it. I don't think you can live in America and be white and not have racism in you. That's just my opinion. So that being said, I don't see indications that he's an all-out racist. That he would not want to come into this room and, I'm not touching your hand. You know what I mean? I think he would come in this room and want to engage. Because, yeah, that's so all we going by is what the media gives us. And these days, you got to understand media, and especially with this AI stuff. You could see me in a video saying something, and it wasn't me saying it. You see what I'm saying? You could really believe, but I saw you. Wasn't me. Wasn't me, unless you was right here in front of me right now. They doing all kind of stuff to confuse you. So, and that's before AI, and lies are one of the best mediums to confuse. But we want peace. Peace is the absence of all confusion, and that's what we're looking for.
Thank you. This good sister that I made reference to over here, Alicia Clark, I think about you right now in this moment, because as we are looking at all of the pardons and things that are going on under Biden as he makes his exit from office, this good sister right here is working on a movement to exonerate Marcus Garvey. And so it kind of piggybacks off, yes. Thank you for that, Alicia. That lady's got some broad shoulders. Love her and her work. But the question that I would have at this point, since we were talking about the racism and all of that, if Biden fails to move and exonerate him before he leaves office, do you think that our efforts to have that happen under a Trump administration, you think that he would be receptive to that?
I think it would depend on, who you talk to in the administration first. You know what I mean? My instinct would be to talk to somebody like Bobby Kennedy about that first, maybe. He just seems like a smart dude that might be able to communicate that in a way that maybe we can get some headway. Yeah, I really don't know. I really don't know. I know I don't think Biden would do anything. He just gave his son a 10-year a 10-year pass. Like, that's not a pardon. That's like, you're trying to just swipe some whole thing clear. Like, why would you need a 10-year window? What did this guy do in that 10 years that you're trying to make sure he don't get caught on? And this guy was smoking crack and all kind of buying guns illegally. What did Marcus Garvey do? What are they accusing him of?
$25 mail fraud. Wow. $100
$25 mail fraud 101 years ago.
And there was prosecutorial misconduct. So the charges were trumped up and it was a sham trial. But that's what the charge was, and he was convicted and sentenced to 5 years in prison.
Now see, Trump being prosecuted for what, signatures on, checks, and he didn't file it correctly. Maybe he can relate. You understand? Maybe he can relate to the pettiness of political, political
Lawfare.
warfare.
Lawfare.
Oh, lawfare.
They're calling it lawfare.
Good word. Political lawfare. Yes. Because that's what they did to Trump. Sounds like that's what they did to brother Marcus. And so yeah, maybe he would be the better one. But again, I don't know. And it's all how it's communicated, who communicates it, the emotion that will it resonate inside these people's hearts? Maybe, maybe not, because we're cut from a different cloth, people. Like we just are. Like we vibrate different. So you can't always expect people to vibrate the way you vibrate. But keep doing what you're doing, sister. I love it.
That's all the questions that I have at this juncture. It is 7:44. I have time for maybe 3 questions from the audience. So, do I see any questions?
Good evening to everybody in the room. Good evening to everybody in the room.
Good evening.
My name is MalcolmLocs. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for Future First Gaming. Lloyd Jamar, thank you so much for being here. Danielle, thank you so much for having us today. I have a question from a perspective of how should us as Black and brown people take the necessary steps to be prepared for this next administration, right? What should Black and brown people do to be in position to leverage this administration that's coming from maybe a financial perspective, economic perspective, just health perspective? How should we be, just prepared to leverage this administration that's coming in?
We have to, it sounds cliche, but we have to really unify. We have to come together to make ourselves a strong block to where people truly listen to what we have to say. I don't know if you might not be abreast of what's going on in hip hop circles right now, but there's a thing going on where this rapper, Fat Joe, right? He basically he said some remarks about foundational Black Americans. He's a Puerto Rican rapper, but he's like a white Puerto Rican rapper, who uses the N-word quite loosely because he was born, he grew up in the South Bronx, but he feels entitled to use this word. And basically he disrespected foundational Black Americans on a show, right? He has yet to apologize. And you know why? Because if it was the gays or the small hats or, any of these other groups, he would have been forced to apologize. He would have to do sensitivity training and all of that other nonsense that they talk about. But because we don't unify and we don't move as one, he's like, man, I'm foundational Black. And he calls it foundational Black authority. He don't even want to respect with the proper name. He said, and those broke N-words, whoever they are. Yeah. Yet he's making money in our culture. He's a Puerto Rican man who makes money off of hip hop, a foundational Black American art form. He cannot go to Puerto Rico and prosper. He don't even speak Spanish like that. Like seriously. So I say that to say we got to start moving. Oh, but after he said that, right? Some of those foundational broke Americans that he was talking about got together and started petitioning certain places. This guy hosted the BET Awards 3 consecutive years, and now he's not. Now he's out of there. He's trying to claim he stepped down on his own, but nah, we did that. So we have to do more of that, bro. You know, health-wise, we got to celebrate that people like Bobby Kennedy is taking fluoride out of the water and stuff like that. But I don't think we have to prepare for any sort of super negative thing that's gonna happen. Like, you know what I mean? Because some of these people acting like, oh God, once he get in, it's gonna be a dictatorship. Y'all gonna get put back in slavery. You know, it's gonna be bad. And I'm like, did that happen last time? Nah, but he said he's gonna be a dictator this time. Did you hear in context what he was talking about? There was not said there's something to be serious. Like, come on, y'all, stop with the nonsense. Y'all were saying anything. Trump is bad, Trump is bad, Trump is bad. And we didn't go for it this time. So, you know, and for all those people that thought he was so bad, I don't understand why y'all haven't left the country yet. Seriously. Because especially as black people, like if you really feel that serious about it, like I know Ghana and all that said y'all can come over there. Seriously. But I'm not giving up my birthright because they trying to trick us to leave America when a lot of us are foundational black Americans, meaning we are from here and yeah. Some of us are not from there, like they try to say. We didn't all come from Africa, but that's a whole other story.
Thank you. I wanted to add something to that, just for my own personal opinion. One of the things that I have long been a champion of is making sure that we have representation on both sides of the aisle. And I think that we're seeing the relevance of that statement in this time, because I can't tell you how many people have blown my phone up with text messages or phone calls and said, are you going to be a part of the administration? Because we need X, Y, and Z. And so it's more critical now than ever for those of us who recognize that in an opportune moment like this to leverage some opportunities, we have to have some people in those spaces that can navigate that and also connect the dots where those things are important. So I think that we are seeing a prevalence of some of the things that I have long since been preaching, is that it is strategic for us to have black people on both sides of the aisle in these elected official offices where the decision making and the authority is being given so that we can actually do some things that are meaningful to our communities. I saw another hand.
As a black official, as well as some of the other that's in here, we constantly face criticism from our own people more so than from the other races. Like when I go to some of the churches and I tell them, if you don't come to meetings, whether it's the council, I'm the mayor of Smyrna, and if you don't come to the meetings, you don't count. If you don't go to the House of Representatives, they call, you don't count. If you don't go to the City Wilmington Council, you don't count. But the biggest thing is, how do we get black folks to realize that? How do we get into their mind that thousands of Africans died on the boat on the way coming here? And the ones that came here made it, the slavery that they had, what they had to deal with. And also just dealing with all the economic problems that black people have had, but yet we do not vote like we should. What's your perspective on it?
I mean, I think you gotta make it cool, man. Like black people, we like to do what's cool. You know what I mean? So, and what's cool means what's popular. So it's like you gotta make going down to City Hall or to the House of Representatives or wherever we need to be at, we gotta make that cool somehow.
You gotta make it AI.
Huh?
You gotta make it AI.
You said make it AI? Hey, if that's what gets them down there. But yeah, you just have to, it has to be communicated in a way that it doesn't seem like, ah, that's some white people shit. Because that's a lot of, I cursed, I'm sorry. I thought I was gonna get through this thing. I almost did it. Oh. Pardon me.
Did well.
Almost did it. See?
You did well.
We got through the regular.
With right there.
People, if you watch my show, I'm very good. But I did good here today. So, yeah, we gotta just make it cool. We gotta make it to where it's something that we wanna do. Yeah, we don't feel like it's a white people thing. That this is a black people thing. It's a smart people thing. It's, if you want tangibles thing, like we have to make it normal. And again, you know, you gotta go to the youth. The same way they're indoctrinating the youth, you gotta get them. But you can't wait till they're teenagers and all of that type of stuff. You know what I mean? You gotta be talking to them when they 3, 4, 5. You know what I mean? Those are the formidable years of, you know, helping to decide who they're gonna be. And if they don't see that as being something cool and you don't provide that example too, because they also need to see you doing it. So, yeah, I think that's the way we do it. You gotta make it cool, man.
Do you remember Schoolhouse Rock?
Of course.
Oh, yeah, I brought that up recently.
Of course.
And I was saying, you know what, I learned about what a bill was and how it died on Capitol Hill. That little jingle stuck with me still to this day. I can still hum it, right? So to your point, yes, we do have to find ways of getting those things to latch on to people and their psyches. And here in the state of Delaware, you know, we have 3 counties. I know there's gods of them in New York, but there's only 3 here. And up in the northern part of the state, my good sister will tell you, when you go out to vote, it's a block party at some of those schools. It makes it fun to go out and vote.
Right.
And they're on to something. So to your point, you know, I think that is something that we need to be latching onto, is that we need to start attaching some things that draw people out. And sometimes, you know, it's just music. It's just food. The smell of the food trucks, my God, right? On that cold November day, yes.
But hang on. But see, it can't be, you gotta make it cool, but it can't be disingenuous.
No.
You gotta feel like,
I get it.
because the Democratic Party tried to make their thing cool, but it was almost like racist the way they was doing it.
True.
You know what I mean? It was like, oh, this is what black people like. We're gonna give them this.
True.
Like, you know what I mean?
I get
Like, so yeah, all that Megan Thee Stallion, and then 2 weeks out, you're gonna promise us some marijuana and all this type of stuff. Like, you really think we stupid, don't you?
I get it. And thank you. But you know, this is where organizations like the Frederick Douglass Freedom Alliance comes in, because we take these ideas and we package them with voter education. And so one of the things that I've often said is that the worst voter is the uneducated voter. That's the voter that shows up on election day and comes out and has the I voted sticker on And they can't tell you a single soul who they voted for, what they stood for. So this is where we can make some valuable strides with organizations like the Frederick Douglass Freedom Alliance and educating voters on what they need to be doing when they go inside of that voting booth, and that they can be strategic with their ballots. And I know we talked a little bit earlier about how Delaware doesn't have open primaries. So you have to affiliate to participate here, right? And so, one of the things that is incumbent upon all of us is to make sure that we teach people that when you go inside of the voting booth, you are not obligated to vote straight ticket anything. And then when we go in educated and we know what people stand for, we can effectively vote our values.
Right.
So those are things that
Instead
I'm
of a party.
looking to bring into play with this organization. We are out of time, folks. I just want to thank you so much for coming out. We will be doing this again soon. I have your email addresses. I will be emailing you all the upcoming dates, and we will be looking to bring more notable names and fellowshipping again together. I don't expect for you to always travel to Dover, so we will be coming to you in a county near you soon. So it was this go round. We'll either do Sussex or Newcastle next go round, and that way we can make it easy for people to come out. And if at all possible, we will look at a streaming option as well, because I know that there are a lot of people who wanted to be here today with us and could not because of the inclement weather. So I do thank you all kindly for coming out. Please make sure that you scan those QR codes. Please get your memberships. Moving forward, these events will be free to members. And if we have more wonderful guests like Lord Jamar, please give him a hand for coming out. Yes. You don't want to have to charge folks for that. So if you get your membership, that means that you can attend all of our events free of charge moving forward. So spread the word. Go home and take a look at the website. Take a look at what the organization stands for. I'm not asking you to spend your hard-earned dollars on something without doing it knowledgeably. I want you to know that this is a biblical worldview of the teachings, that it comes from a place of wholeness. It comes from a place of godliness, and that we will do things in decency and order all the time. So thank you again for coming out. Please take the opportunity to get your selfies so you can post it up, and hashtag FDFA of Delaware, shameless plug. And thank you again for coming out. God bless. One other thing before we dismiss. Would you do me a favor and pray us out?
When we look back over our lives and we see that all that Jesus has done for us, we're grateful. And we just want to ask him to order our steps and be with us in the days ahead. We thank you, Lord, for your goodness, your love, your mercy, and your loving kindness. We ask, oh God, that we be co-laborers together with you, that you would guide us, that you would speak to us, that you would teach us your ways, and that we will walk therein. Now, Father, make us one, even as you, Abba, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit are one. Because a threefold cord is not easily broken. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen, Ra.
Thank you all. Do you want me to...